Marvel has just retconned Nightcrawler's origin and people are pissed saying it's woke. But what if I told you this new origin was actually supposed to be the original origin because the writer was forbidden to write it? Yep, you heard that right. In this video, I'm going to talk about Nightcrawler's original origin, his new retconned origin, and why this change is not woke. Nightcrawler, the blue-skinned, demonic-looking mutant with teleporting abilities, aka Kurt Wagner, was created by Len Wein and Dave Cockrum and first appeared in Giant X-Men issue number 1 in April 1975. You may know another very popular blue mutant, Mystique, and wonder if there's some connection to Nightcrawler. Well, Nightcrawler met his blue counterpart for the first time in Uncanny X-Men 142, where Mystique teases a deeper connection between the two. However, Marvel didn't reveal the story for years later. It wasn't until 1994 in X-Men Unlimited number 4, where writers Scott Lobdell and Richard Bennett revealed that Mystique was Nightcrawler's mother. Mystique told Kurt that she was married to a German man, Baron Christian Wagner, but he had no idea that Mystique was a mutant. But when Mystique gave birth to Kurt, he was blue, had pointed ears and a tail, and all of that freaked the baby daddy out, causing him to accuse Mystique of having an affair. Well, the townspeople also find out that Mystique is a mutant and literally chase her out of town with pitchforks. While literally on the run from townspeople, Mystique took Kurt with her. Unfortunately, Mystique told Kurt that she wasn't able to save both of them and therefore got rid of him by really sadly throwing him over the edge of a raging waterfall. She was then able to escape by shapeshifting into one of the townspeople. Kurt survived the waterfall because he used his teleportation powers for the first time ever in his life and was later adopted. But it wasn't until some years later that we find out that the German Baron was not actually Kurt's father. In fact, Mystique did have an affair with the demon Azazel. This would go on to answer a lot of questions, as Azazel and Nightcrawler look exactly the same except that Azazel is red. So this has been Nightcrawler's canon origin until recently. In the one-shot X-Men Blue Origins number 1, writers Cy Spurrier and artists Wilton Santos, Oren Jr., Marcus Toe, and Cece De La Cruz retconned Nightcrawler's origin story to what was supposed to be his original story. Now this obviously does have spoilers for this comic, so tread lightly moving forward. In this issue, we find out that Mystique used her shapeshifting abilities to not only change her appearance into a man, but also her genetics so that she can impregnate her longtime lover, Destiny. It was Destiny at the time who was posing as a maid for the German Baron, who was actually pregnant and gave birth to Kurt at that time. And during this time, Mystique used her shapeshifting abilities to appear pregnant. And after hearing all of that, you might be saying to yourself, this is definitely an agenda and some woke. But let me tell you why it's not. First and foremost, this was the writer Chris Claremont's original idea for Nightcrawler's origin. And yes, it has been said that Claremont's original origin for Nightcrawler was to have the Doctor Strange villain Nightmare to be Kurt's father. However, because Doctor Strange wasn't intertwined with the X-Men at the time, that really didn't make sense. Claremont literally wanted to have Mystique be able to turn into a man and impregnate her longtime lover of Destiny and father Nightcrawler. Now mind you, this is back in the 80s, where obviously people are upset that this is even happening, let alone having just two women be in a relationship together was just super taboo. Unfortunately, Marvel felt that the Comics Code of Authority would not go for that storyline and totally scrap that story. Now, some people are upset because this removes Azazel completely from Nightcrawler's origin, and people are upset about that. Now, let's get real. Azazel wasn't even a part of Nightcrawler's story until like 20 years later, where Azazel didn't even come into the picture until the 2000s. So as far as I'm concerned, he wasn't a very good father to begin with. That was a joke, by the way, if you missed it. Second, he's still somewhat involved in Nightcrawler's story, as Mystique utilized Azazel's genetic code to form her own male form when impregnating Destiny. Second, people are pissed off that two women cannot have a baby because it's not physically possible. First off, this is not a real world. Let's just live in some sort of fantasy. Let's just go with that first and foremost. Second, Mystique is a shapeshifter, and now that we know that she's shapeshifting on a genetic level, and if she and her longtime lover of Destiny wanted to have a family and they wanted it to both come from them, why not have Mystique turn into a man? Seems like the most logical explanation if you were able to do that. Overall, I know people are upset just having another retcon in Marvel Comics. However, I will say that this was done very well, given the fact that this was like 50 years of material that they had to retcon, and they did a really good job including pretty much all of the things. The funniest part about all of this, where the fans of X-Men are complaining about these silly things about two women having a baby together, or Disney's pushing pushing a woke agenda, blah, 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 you realize that the X-Men and Marvel have been quote unquote woke since day one. Learn more about that here.